My Feet Smell. All kidding aside, that was actually the intro to the track called My Feet Smell by Last Insane. This is a group of guys that I wanted to talk to you about today. Last Insane, I met them at Expression College for the digital... Well, actually, I met them at SAE Expression College now. When I was in a class, I had a lab with them. They were the band performing, so we could do some basic stuff. I believe at the time we were in our digital audio workstations class. Yeah, pretty much just getting our first certification for Pro Tools. And the first day they came in, I was out of town for a funeral. So my buddy was all alone in the class doing the tracking for the drums and bass. Then that following Friday, the next week, I was the only one there as my buddy was out sick. It was kind of a weird experience, but I got to track the vocals, guitar, and bass overdubs. And that was really fun. And when they first walked in, I was kind of helping with the load-in and helping them set up and everything. And they started cracking jokes at each other, at each other's expense. And, you know, I started cracking up laughing. It was like, okay, I get it. I'm going to be able to work with these guys. And I looked at them and just said, just remember, you started this. And they were like, oh, okay. And we proceeded to crack jokes all night long. It was great. It was fun. So we got done, and we're loading everything up and transferring things to hard drives or CDs or whatever they wanted. And I asked them, I was like, do you got somebody in mind for mixing your projects here, your tracks? And they were like, well, yeah. No, not really. I was like, well, would you let me try to mix them and see what I could do for you? And they're like, cool. And I was like, in exchange, you would let me use your music in my graduation reel. And they're like, yeah, that'd be, I think we could do that. The problem was the drummer wasn't there. And Joe considers himself, the drummer, Joe, considers himself kind of the manager of the band. And the other two guys did not tell Joe about this plan that they had made with me to mix the tracks. So the lead guitarist and vocalist, Theo, was feeling kind of under the weather that evening as well, and he was really pushing his vocal cords, his throat. I think in some parts it gave it some grittiness, some real raw emotion to it, and I believe it came out kind of fabulous. But a couple weeks later, I found out they didn't want to use those tracks because he was under, well, at least the vocals for those tracks, and they went back into a different studio to record the vocals, and then the guy there mixed the albums. They ended up paying that guy because Joe didn't know that I had offered to do the mixing for them for free, which is great. But I still, good on them. They're supporting the business. That's what they do. Somebody need to get paid to do the mixing. That's great. I was kind of new. I was kind of fresh. Whatever. In my spare time, of course, I mix the tracks anyway, because that's what I do. And I asked him, I said, well, here's the deal, Joe. If I mix a song for you and you like it, then you give me the new vocals and I'll finish mixing the rest of the stuff. He's like, I'll do you one better. You can use what you got in your reel, whatever you like, chop it up, smack it, flip it, rub it down. Nobody cares. You can use that in the reel. And then when we get ready for our album, we're coming to you. I said, you've got a deal. You've got a good damn deal. So we went, from there, I spent countless hours in the studio just trying to perfect these mixes on these songs that I had, which is not to say that it's the total of their stuff, it's just the stuff that I had. So there are a bunch of other songs out there, but let me first tell you a little bit more about the band themselves. They are called Last Insane. They're a rock trio hailing from Vallejo, California. Theo, as I already mentioned, is the guitar and vocalist. Gio, or Giovanni, does bass and background vocals, and Joe plays the drums. They're currently unsigned, and I've taken this straight off of one of the websites that they have their music on. Probably multiple of them, because I think this is a really good way to say this. The band strives to spread rock and roll in a society where the youth strays away from real music. And I myself find that kind of powerful. It's really refreshing to see and hear that. Whether or not it's working, I don't know. I hope it's working. I think it's working. They just recently played at Gilman's, at 924 Gilman in February, and also earlier in the month they played at Gordon's Music and Sound in Fairfield. So they're getting gigs. They're doing the work, getting their name out there, getting the following and the fans. So like I said at the beginning, that song was called My Feet Smell. It's kind of a bluesy song, and it reminds me of the Royal Southern Brotherhood. Another bluesy rock band that I've heard of and fell in love with their music, never met, never seen. But I like their album, to the very least. One of the other songs I worked on was called You Drive Me Insane. That actually made it onto their EP that was mixed by the other gentleman. You Drive Me Insane is reminiscent to me of... Well, I can definitely hear their influences, and they claim that their influences include the White Stripes, the Arctic Monkeys, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Jimi Hendrix, and Green Day. And I can see that in You Drive Me Insane, but this also is reminiscent of earlier Offspring for me. Not the angry, screaming Offspring, not the Bad Habit Offspring, but the drive and the feel of the music reminds me of early Offspring. The drive and the feel of it, not the blatant, obvious, overtoned emotion that they're spewing into the mic. Just if you were to strip the vocals out of the earlier Offspring stuff and just listen to the music, it's that music, that feeling that music would invoke is what that's what they remind me of. Let's see, they got a couple of other tracks. Narce is another one that I worked on. So the ones I worked on were You Drive Me Insane, My Feet Smell, and Narce. But their EP included two other songs, Metro Scene and Door. Also good tracks. The EP can be found on Reverb Nation. Give it a listen. The other two songs, Narce and My Feet Smell, can be found on SoundCloud. Other than SoundCloud, they're unreleased. They can be also hit up on Facebook at Last Insane Band, on Instagram at Last Insane Band. I think you guys would like. I think you guys would like to hear them. I think they can be big if the right person hears them. If the right person hears them, I think they could blow up. Gotta have that kind of faith. Gotta have it in the music business. If you don't, what are you playing for? Doesn't make any sense. You playing for that one guy that came into the studio one day, just happened to like what you were doing? Yeah, we'll see. Thank you. Have a good night.